After last week's 2 episodes where so much happened, I expected this week's to be a little bit more laid back. Omega's brought back to Tantiss. As CX-2's ship comes in, I thought maybe with this part of his mission being wrapped up, we'd get to find out who he is. I'm still hoping he's just a reg. With the lack of fanfare on him more recently, I'm getting a better feeling about that. When Omega's brought into the facility, she asks about Nala Se. Hemlock tells her that Nala Se won't be around to help with another rescue attempt, right as Emerie comes into the frame. This was a nice touch. Emerie faces Omega and Hemlock with a lot of defeat in her body. She's not happy to see her clone sister back in custody. Hemlock senses the hesitation and he tells her to get to work on Omega right away. Emerie complies and does the work. As she's taking the sample, she tells Omega, "I'm glad you're safe." Omega questions if she actually is or not. Emerie doesn't answer. I thought this small exchange said everything between the two of them. As we catch up with the rest of the batch on Pabu, the Empire's pulling out, shockingly sticking to their word. Hunter and Batcher catch up with Crosshair and Wrecker. Wrecker's the one who mentions Omega turning herself in, and Hunter has no reaction whatsoever. I didn't expect a 10-minute scene with him and Crosshair back at each other's throats, but something should have been said about her decision. They move forward, which is great for the plot, but it doesn't feel right for the character. Crosshair brings up a new option on finding Tantiss. The tremors are back in his hand at the thought of it. His brothers do react to this information, with him having another way of possibly finding Tantiss. He hauntingly says he never brought it up before because Tantiss is a place he does not want to go back to. This was a good moment for his character. He didn't want to give up the information to save all of their clone brothers, but he will for Omega. Not just because it's Omega specifically, but because this is his family. The new plan is to track down Vice Admiral Rampart, the man who put the recruitment plan into effect that ended the cloning program. Rampart was used as a scapegoat by the Empire to get away with misappropriation of military funds and destroying Tipoca City on Camino. This is where the clone army was grown. He was arrested and sent to a labor camp. As the batch are having this lengthy conversation, Fee shows up from a hidden passage with AZ. Uncharacteristically, she also has nothing to say about the absence of Omega. She meets Crosshair for the first time and agrees to help the batch with whatever they need, especially now that they don't have a ship. The episode picks up the pace a little bit with Fee's expert piloting as they approach the labor camp. The fun continues with a cool action sequence as the batch moves in on Rampart. They have no hang-ups of taking out TK troopers, and we get to see some familiar transport vehicles in action. Unlike when we saw these vehicles in The Mandalorian, they're heavily armed this time around. The attack on the Imperial outpost was cool, and the escape that followed was exciting. We get to see the batch execute an old plan of theirs and do what they do best. It was a small taste of classic Bad Batch. They got Rampart out, but didn't get a simple set of coordinates to follow to Tantiss. Rampart tells the batch that Tantiss was designed this way on purpose. There is no simple plotting of courses to find it. I'm wondering if there's a wayfinder type of scenario going on here where they have to get a magic compass to get them to the right location. Ships are coming and going all the time, so there has to be some consistent way to find it. It looks to me like next week the batch will be on yet another errand to retrieve something so they can find Tantiss. This will also give Emerie and Omega time to plot. Emerie will for sure take part in Omega's next escape, but the Bad Batch should be the ones driving that part of the story. It's not only their show and the end of the whole clone saga, but in the universe, they're the ones with the training and experience. Emerie tests Omega's blood and confirms to Hemlock what we all know. I forget the exact wording, but it was something like her blood tested positive for M-count replication, not that it tested positive for a high M-count currently. I'm still holding on to my theory that she is Force sensitive. Emerie could just be holding on to this information, or the equipment they have might not be set up to test for a current midichlorian count. If Omega being Force sensitive is the direction the series is going in, I would like to see that Emerie is holding on to the information. Hemlock already knew that Omega's blood was the key to Project Necromancer, so if there's more information to be given and Emerie's hiding it, it could be her first real act of defiance. Hemlock tells Omega that he would show her what the M-count replication means. I, again, got my hopes up for new information. We were just shown the vault again. The kids in prison is rough to see, but I felt underwhelmed by the lack of new information or the lack of exactly what Hemlock planned to do with Omega. With just a few episodes left in the entire series, a 23-minute runtime with almost no new information feels a bit empty. I enjoyed what we got as a bit of entertainment for the week, but it did little to move the plot forward. The Batch is trying to move toward Tantiss, but Rampart doesn't have the information they need. Setbacks are part of any story, I just don't want to start seeing a bunch of holes in the story or far too much clunky exposition filling in gaps when an extra 5 minutes on an episode like this could have answered some of those questions with showing, not saying. The thing I rubbed up against the most was Hunter and Phee not having anything to say about Omega turning herself in. It felt like an oversight. A 23-minute episode should never feel rushed. Even expecting a calmer episode this week than what we got last week, I still feel a little shortchanged. We waited an entire week for 23 minutes of nothing new story-wise. I'm still all in on the series. I still have faith we're going to get a satisfying ending. I just want to see them really stick that landing. Check out this video next for more of my thoughts on The Bad Batch Season 3.